This is an HR program on demand, a living seed capsule of work life and workplace coming live from a rooftop in Stockholm, Sweden. It's me, Marie and
me, Katarina Berg.
A vodcast, if you like, on HR, straight across the counter. Sponsored by HR The Real Deal, HR by HR for HR. Katarina, you're back.
I'm back.
Great to have you here.
It was a bit of a gap here, right? Since the
HR The Real Deal Summit. Exactly, and we said that together. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My dear,
yes.
I thought we were going to talk about a very interesting topic that is...
I'm looking at you like, what is the topic?
A very interesting topic that I know you are talking about quite a lot nowadays for all of the good reasons. And that is how you grow as a company from startup into scale up into mature. And I think you're one of the very few out there who has actually done that with Spotify, with all of the ups and downs and twists and turns that entails. So I thought that we were going to talk about that. And I know you've been around. You were, a few weeks ago, you were also at Verdane, my company, talking for the HR community about this. And for 90 minutes we had you there. And for the listeners and audience, 90 minutes no one was breathing when Katarina talked about this. So it was very, very appreciated. Thank you for joining. But why don't we start talking about that?
Yes.
Why do you think that...
Can we also just rephrase that I haven't been around, that I have been on tour.
Sorry.
And talking and doing panels, doing fireside chats and doing keynotes on the journey for most private equity companies and a couple of other kind of companies about surviving startup, going into scale up.
Exactly.
Maybe also scale up on a global level and then mature. And then in most cases, or at least what we are talking about, becoming a great business.
Exactly.
That is what I've been doing. I've not been around.
You've not been around. Sorry, that was my broken English. Exactly. And the reason why this also fitted so very nicely for our HR community at Verdane is because the majority of the companies that we invest in are scale-ups. In various shapes of their maturity, right? So some are very early on, but others have come further. But they are there. So tell us the secret.
Yeah.
How do you grow?
No,
because there are different phases.
There are very, very clear different phases. I think I've been giving kind of a backdrop of our different phases, which I don't think is very unique. I think most companies go through the same challenges. I think you have to make more or less the same decisions, and they are challenging. They are also sometimes very tricky, and maybe very few people in the organization have done exactly that journey, and they are there for that phase, and sometimes not necessarily for the next phase.
Right.
And I think all that is good, but if you're going to do that and you're going to pivot the company into the next phase, I think you need to kind of have a toolbox of how to do that together with the teams, of course, together with the HR team, but also together with the rest of the executive team. And I think the questions are quite telling because they sound the same, no matter if I meet your team at Verdane or I meet, Anna Stenberg's team over at Kinnevik, or I meet the CPOs that I did a fireside chat together with Stephen Bartlett in London for Chapter 2. And it doesn't matter what country, what private equity, or wherever you are on that journey. It is very much culture.
Culture, yeah.
How do you cling on to culture? Do you evolve a culture? Do you work with it, or do you just live with the culture you get if you don't do things intentionally? That is a very kind of clear topic. Another thing that people have a lot of questions about leadership. And especially founders mode.
Yes.
And also, when do you let go? And is that all about, just wanting to eat the candy and never wanting to go to the dentist? Or can you hide behind that? Or is that the natural thing? And is that a good thing? So we've been discussing and debating that and what that looked like for us, and kind of what advice and how we shifted the load from the left leg to the right leg, and how you do that before it's too late. So you actually get the speed into the next phase. But what it also entails, or what it comes with, for us, it was a lot of openness and transparency, trying to bring everybody along, not necessarily involving everybody in the decision, because then it slows you down, and speed, and then on top of that, speed together with communication is very much of the formula, especially in the early days, and also from startup into scale up. Thinking or betting that, informed people take more initiated and better decisions, and when they do that, you can keep that momentum, that speed. The other thing that I think is very much of what type of people do you want to attract, and how do you make sure that you dress them or develop them or grow them so they are able, if they want to do the next phase. Because some people love to be in startups. But then again, if you open, you're transparent, and you also manage expectations, it's okay. And maybe you also decided that a couple of people should then leave to go to another startup, or maybe found their own company, right? And then scale up again. Not everybody that are loving to be in scale up phase wants to be in a mature company.
True.
And then you also have to define what mature is. And then I think great company, we all know that is when you're really profitable, right? So how do you do that? And it's kind of looked the same, whatever, as I said, the keynote or the fireside chats or the panels, it's the same questions. And I think what people struggle with is that it's never clear enough. Communication is not necessarily a skill that all founders or CEOs has, that most people in the organization are not necessarily always bought into what you are doing. And back to, I think, something that we repeated over and over again, you might not have to like the decision, but you know what? That could be a promise that you understand why we're doing this. And then you can decide. You can decide if you want to be and tag along on the next journey and be part of that and have an impact.
Exactly. Excellent. And then when you joined Spotify some 11, 12 years ago, obviously Daniel Ek was the CEO and also the founder. And then during your tenure, you've been growing together. And I think he's he's unique in many ways, obviously. I've never met him, by the way. I'll talk about him like I have. But anyways, but I think that he has actually the uniqueness of being a founder and being able to grow with his baby in a very, very impressive way. And we know that when you are a founder, you start something, you have this great idea. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can follow your baby, your idea through all of the stages. What do you think? What do you think is
what makes him so special, unique, and brilliant?
Or how difficult was he, rather?
I think, a great relationship between a head of HR, people, talent, or whatever you'd like to call the function that both you and I have, is, I think you have to choose the CEO that you work with, and he, she, they needs to choose you. And I think that needs to be a respect there. I think there needs to be kind of a common view of or shared values. Then I think it's just very good if you don't see kind of eye to eye, or maybe you have to see eye to eye, but I don't think how you get to a certain place or to your vision or mission, you should not necessarily have the same path. And then the dialogue and the sparring and sometimes getting really frustrated, I think it also gets your creative juices going, and you come back with even a better or a new kind of angle. And it's all about perspective. So has Daniel been difficult? It's so strange to talk about him when he's not here. But first of all, I think he is unique. I also happen to think he's brilliant. And I think I've been very, very lucky. And I think it's been a pleasure. It's been also a learning journey for me. And in the end, I think I learned much more from him than he learned from me. But I think it's a collab, it's a co-creation, and I think you are a team, and you have different roles. And where I think he is very unique is he's a good listener. He knows, which is one of my kind of to go to for myself, but also what I usually kind of mini preach to. You don't know what you don't know, but in many ways he knows what he doesn't know. So he listens to your opinions, and he might not say yes to everything, and he should not say yes to everything. But with his additional or his questions or his pushback or his challenging you, I think in the end there's a better product, a better idea, a better kind of bet. And I think that is quite rare from founders. Sometimes I also think that a lot of people that are ultra smart, they're very smart in what I usually call in a straw. So when you look into a straw, you're very smart. And people that are very smart in a straw, they sometimes also have the assumption that they are smart on things that they actually are totally clueless. And he is not in that kind of camp.
He's not clueless.
He's not clueless. And the other thing that is annoying, though, is that he's smart in everything, right? And he's actually very good at everything. And most likely, hopefully, he will never listen to this, because I think he will be a bit embarrassed about me talking about.
Yes.
But the good thing why I can also talk really well about him, because right now it's not me also brown nosing.
True.
Yeah.
And before we move into that, if he is listening, I just want to say that was love bombing. If it passed him away.
Yeah, but it's also true. I mean, to be able to come along and be invited on a journey like this, with a brand like this, with the two founders like we have, and the CEO and my boss for the last 12 years, it's nothing short of amazing.
It's a privilege.
It is a privilege.
Because, my dear.
Yes.
The journey has ended.
Yes, it has.
You have left.
I have now. Elvis has left the building.
Katarina has left the building.
Yes, it was one of those impossible decisions. But I truly believe that you should leave the party when it's still fun. And this is one of those jobs, one of those companies that we never done. It's never a dull moment. There's always something new. It's very ambitious. And when do you kind of stop and then jump off? So it was something that kind of, it helped me. One of the first conversations I had with Daniel back in the days, where he described what I call 5 stints, or he maybe called 5 stints, like how do we survive and make sure that we are one of those less than 50% that actually make it from startup into scale up, and then how can we scale twice? And the way that I at least remember it, he talked about first one scale-up journey, and then one on speed almost, where we went totally global into every corner of the world, and also surviving and keeping and evolving kind of the culture that we think is relevant for every phase, and then going into mature, but not getting stale, not getting complacent, and not getting like, hey, we're quite nice, seated very, very far back in the seat, but still hungry and leaning in and wanting more. And then also becoming kind of profitable in the sense. So it's been one of those people kind of product and profit kind of journeys, where you can't really do anything about either product or profitability if you don't have great people. So yes, having kind of one of our, I hope not last, and it wasn't the last walk and talk, because we had so many. We kind of concluded that maybe it was the right timing. Together with something else that I want to say 4 years, but maybe that is not true. It could also be 5, it could also be 3. Been really stressing that it's very important for you as a senior, but also executive leader, to have and find and also grow and dress your successor.
Right.
And then hand over, and not just stay and never move. So I think it's good to role model. I think it's good to role model in all leadership roles. I think it's even more important in the role that we have. And then hopefully lead the way. I'm not asking, and I hope that it doesn't mean that other people will leave now, because we have a great team at Spotify, but it was time for me to leave and hand over the keys to the queendom of HR at Spotify to a great successor. So
Anna Lundström.
Yeah.
And you're moving on.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Yes. Onwards. And upwards, I hope. Very excited. I'm gonna in August start as a CHRO for On. So that's going to be really amazing. Had so many great conversations with them. Gave me energy. I remember kind of the feeling when I started to have conversations with Martin and Daniel, and there was many resemblances, and it's going to be fun, exciting, and a bit scary. You never proven, and I think that's what I'm looking for too. To see if I can add something, learn something, and have fun, and hopefully do good work too.
Congratulations on, and I can just say for the on listeners,
Yeah.
if they're on, the whole of Stockholm is now wearing on shoes. I have, you have.
I have,
Yeah.
And I met my boss today,
had
or my ex-boss. He had ons on,
Yeah.
and I also met our head of Southeast East Asia, and he had his on. So
He has
everybody,
it on.
they are on point,
Yes.
on brand,
Yes.
and I'm looking forward.
Will be excellent and really, really funny to follow that journey as well. And
Yes,
as it happens,
Yes.
We're on this rooftop for the last time.
we are.
And we have a sunset, hopefully, in the background. And the
Yeah.
reason for that is because we're sunsetting this HR Walden pod.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's interesting too. I mean, it's been great.
it's been fantastic.
It's been fun. And we wanted to have a pod, and actually we wanted to have a vodcast before people actually did anything on video. So I think we were quite early. Now everybody has a video to the podcast. And we couldn't have done this without people behind the camera. So we're going to talk a bit about them soon. But, here we are. We're usually quite early in the morning, and in every weather, in snow, in rain, in hail, or, and it's always windy, and we always have, at least I have hair everywhere going sideways.
So people have seen us in all kinds of shapes and forms.
Yeah, and never with a script, and
Never
also
with a
always
script.
in one take,
Yeah.
which means that, hey, you had to live with whatever we said. But the thing is, we both know where there is a sunset, there might be a sunrise.
Who knows?
So who knows?
Who knows?
But for now,
Yes,
yeah,
we're closing it.
we're closing it. But
And
before we
will
do,
always close it with the three things and so forth. But before we do that,
Yeah.
we couldn't have done these VODs and pods without the crew behind the camera.
Yeah.
And that is obviously Simon. Join
and
us.
also,
Join us. And also Karin Julia. But she's not here today because she is...
on brand.
She's on brand.
Yeah, she's on a concert.
She's on a concert.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I'm here.
You're
so bring it in, Simon.
had to be
Thank
here.
you, Karin Julia, and thank you, Simon.
And thank
it's
you
been
all
a pleasure.
viewers
Yeah.
and listeners.
And we do apologize for all the episodes, for all the seasons, and just keep in mind, if you liked any what we did or said on this rooftop, we might show up on another rooftop, because where there is a sunset, there is always also a
Sunrise. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. But now we're closing it
Simon?
with the three things.
Yeah.
Stay safe, stay strong, stay active.
Ide modalje. Nej, det här är ju fel. Det här är ju fel. Alltså jag fattar ju inte det här. Ja, så. Och du är ju välfriserad. Det är liksom klippt i...
Nej, men är det frisyr?
Jättefint. Alltså frisyr är jättefint.
Frisyr. Ja. Min mamma kan inte säga frisyr. Frisyr. Du får rätta till frisyr. Jaha.
Men folk är på takterrassen där borta.
Du ska stå här nu så han kan ställa in.
Kan du göra lite massage?
Var någonstans?
Här på axlarna.
För att-
Känner du?
Här är ju någon jätteknull.
Jag vet. Hur är det vi gör?
Här?
Nu kör vi. Nej, men det är bara vår i Stockholm.
Det är det. Och det
kallt. Det är vår. Var var vi någonstans? Vi var på mina axlar. Och jag har ju hela liksom mitt liv sitter i axlarna.
Det var ett litet liv.
Gud så skönt.
Är vi redo, Simon?
Aj!
Ja, vi kör.
Nu.
Okej, vi börjar
Aj.
här då.
Vadå?
Rör du på läpparna?
Ja.
And we are back. Okej, nu kör vi.
And we are back.
Okej, nu kör vi.
Jag gjorde bara så här. Det såg ut som ett fån.
Ja.
Ja, okej då. All right.
I got
Yay! We did it! You
Got
did
it
it!
the first time. I've been listening so many times.
I think you were the only one who got it the first time. Thank you.
Thank you.
We did it.
It's been a pleasure for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah, how many years?
It's been,
4 or 5
yeah.
or something like
Is it
And
4?
today we didn't have to shovel any snow.
No.
that. We didn't.
No
I've done
umbrellas.
it.
And
Yeah.
no wind. And look at this.
And no jackets.
Look.
It's spring in Stockholm.
It is.
It is.
Team, I will miss this rooftop.
I will too.
I will miss
But
it.
for so many reasons,
Yeah.
not just the pod.
True.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Okay. Over and out.
Off we go.
Peace out.
Ciao.
Peace out.
Peace out.